Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking a really fascinating look at the actual engine that drives the world's most successful nonprofits and NGOs. We all know that raw passion and a noble mission, they're absolutely incredible starting points, right? They're the spark. But you know, a spark alone doesn't build a sustainable fire. So we're going to explore the mechanics together and discover how the most effective organizations take that raw, idealistic passion and transform it into structured, world-changing action.
How do good intentions become measurable impact? Think about that for a second. There is often a massive gap between having this beautiful, noble mission to save the world and actually executing it effectively on a random Tuesday morning when budgets are suddenly tight, logistics are totally chaotic, and, inexplicably, the printer is out of toner again. Bridging that gap takes a very specific set of tools, and understanding those tools is exactly what we're doing today. Section 1, Beyond the Mission Statement. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Program management. When some people hear the words structured oversight, they immediately think of, bureaucratic red tape that just bogs everything down. But for high-performing NGOs, it's actually the exact opposite. It's the ultimate antidote to red tape. It's the essential alignment of a mission with the complex, practical realities of the real world. It's the framework that makes sure your boots-on-the-ground projects don't just feel good, but actually align with what your donors expect, what the law rigidly requires, and, most importantly, the actual measurable social impact you want to make. It is literally the vital bridge between the grand dream and the gritty reality.
And when you get that alignment right, you absolutely maximize both outreach and sustainability. By strategically coordinating resources, volunteers, and campaigns, an organization doesn't just do a week or a month of good work. They create the exact mechanism that ensures long-term viability. These are the organizations that survive brutal economic downturns because their funding streams are diversified and managed tightly. They scale their outreach methodically, guaranteeing that their doors stay open to help people year after year, completely regardless of the macroeconomic climate.
Section 2, 5 Pillars of Program Management.
It all starts right there on the front line, with community development. Program management in this area means overseeing critical local initiatives. We're talking about building schools, setting up healthcare clinics, and creating livelihood support programs. But let's be totally honest. Effective community development isn't just about smiling for the camera at a ribbon-cutting ceremony. The real work is navigating really complex local zoning laws, untangling supply chain logistics just to get concrete to a rural village, and ensuring that programs designed on a whiteboard in an air-conditioned office actually translate into tangible, real-world benefits on the ground.
Now, of course, those local development initiatives definitely do not fund themselves. We have to connect that local development to the resources needed to run it, and that means fundraising campaigns. Modern fundraising isn't just running local bake sales anymore, right? It requires treating donor data and digital grant algorithms with the exact same rigor that a major tech company uses for user acquisition. Strategic program management carefully manages complex grant applications, optimizes multi-channel digital platforms, and structures donor engagement so that the financial lifeblood of the organization literally never stops flowing.
And as that funding flows, it fuels the next level of impact: advocacy programs. A truly effective NGO knows that you can't just treat the symptoms forever. Eventually, you have to try and cure the disease. Program management in advocacy is the transition from tending to the wounded to trying to stop the war entirely. It means managing wide-scale awareness campaigns, conducting highly targeted policy lobbying, and aligning diverse stakeholders to influence systemic top-down change. The ultimate goal here is to alter the very structures that caused the issues in the first place.
Crucially, though, none of these previous pillars work without human capital. You can have the absolute best fundraising and advocacy plans in the world, but it's people who actually power these campaigns, and that is exactly where volunteer management comes in. Program management here is all about overseeing the recruitment, the highly detailed training, and above all, the retention of volunteers. It's about strengthening organizational capacity by making sure the people giving their precious free time actually feel valued, appropriately utilized, and highly effective, rather than burned out and disillusioned.
Finally, we zoom out to the macro level with global partnerships. This is the space where local action meets global strategy. Program management at this tier culminates in coordinating massive, multinational collaborations. We are talking about working alongside international agencies, negotiating with foreign governments, and teaming up with the private sector. And honestly, this is notoriously difficult work. Navigating the misaligned incentives between a slow-moving public sector bureaucracy and a profit-driven corporate partner requires sophisticated diplomacy. It's all about combining divergent forces to tackle problems that are simply way too enormous for any single organization to solve alone.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because when community development, fundraising, advocacy, volunteers, and global partnerships are synchronized through structured management, something really powerful happens. Think about it. If any one of these elements is out of sync, say you have the volunteers but absolutely no funding, or you have the advocacy but no local connection, the entire organizational ecosystem suffers. But when they are perfectly aligned, they create an organizational body that remains incredibly healthy, surprisingly resilient to external shocks, and exponentially more impactful.
Section 3, from fragmented to align.
And this brilliantly illustrates the really sharp contrast between fragmented initiatives and strategic alignment. On one hand, you have a fragmented reality where one team is intensely raising money for a project that another team hasn't even begun to staff, while your volunteers are just standing around in the lobby with absolutely nothing to do. It causes immense burnout and wastes incredibly precious resources. But on the other hand, with strategically aligned initiatives, everything moves in total lockstep. The fundraising pays for the community development, the volunteers are precisely trained to execute it, and the advocacy team uses those exact localized results to push for broad policy change. It is literally night and day.
Because alignment really is the secret ingredient. To quote the source material directly, being strategically aligned creates measurable improvements in outreach, sustainability, and social impact. This isn't just theoretical business jargon thrown into a presentation to impress a board of directors, It's the actual formula for creating real, verifiable, and permanent improvements in a nonprofit's ability to reliably reach people and fundamentally change lives over the long haul.
Section 4. Delivering meaningful global change.
So, the crucial point is that ultimately, structured program management is the absolute prerequisite for delivering meaningful change at both local and global levels. It's kind of like the unseen, unglamorous architecture of a better world. Without it, you just have a lot of incredibly busy people with very good hearts running around in circles. But with it, you have an unstoppable, coordinated force that is genuinely capable of eradicating diseases, ending generational poverty, and transforming entire societies from the ground up.
I want to leave you with this thought to really reflect on today. Think about a charity, a community group, or an NGO you care deeply about, or maybe even volunteer your time with. Are their local efforts fragmented, or are they strategically aligned for maximum impact? The next time you see a nonprofit either succeeding brilliantly or struggling to stay afloat, you're going to know exactly what to look for behind the scenes. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep asking the big questions.